iris is blooming each springtime. The peony blooms in the dark. From a lotus the frost sings at springtime. From a telephone wire makes a laugh. The distant quiet doing nothing. The grass
Only that day dawns, to which we are truly awake. Thoreau wrote that. It helps you understand the Buddha sense of awareness. It's being awake to everything, a wakefulness that knows no limitations of distance or of size, from stars 10,000 light years away to the sea's depths, to the wonders of our own gardens. In Buddhist awareness runs the spine of the instinctive wisdom of the body. It's egoless, limitlessly free, beyond any notion of time. As Herman Melville says in Moby Dick, ye two are the opposite poles of one thing. Ye two are all mankind. This whole act's immutably decreed. 'Twas rehearsed by thee and me 1 billion years before this ocean rolled. It's an awareness of the life around us and of the life within us. In Buddhism, this idea is expressed by Maitreya. Maitreya is a Buddha of the future, an enlightened one yet to come. He exists only in eternal awareness, an awareness which is life, for we are truly alive to the degree that we're truly aware. You see, the Indian prince who became the Buddha, who lived and taught some 2,500 years ago, never claimed to be a god, never claimed divinity. But he did claim to be fully aware of the realities of life and death, fully awakened. Now, how this prince arrived at this really remarkable awakening is, well, the most interesting thing about his long life. As a boy, a young prince, he was deliberately reared within high palace walls so as never to come in contact with old people or sick people or the dead. It's told that as a boy prince, he romped in the palace gardens with a boy cousin, a cousin with a taste for sport. The young prince stopped him. "It's mine," the cousin objected. "No," replied the prince. "It belongs to him who saves his life." Because of his compassion, his father, the king, feared he might go into a humanitarian or religious life. But the day came when this prince, now a young man, had to make a journey outside those walls, alone, with just a driver, into a world that was new and harsh to him. This overprotection really shouldn't seem so strange to us. Statistically, even in a country as rich as America, there's appalling suffering. There's desperate poverty, there's agonizing disease of body and mind, there's violent death, lingering death. Yet most of us don't come in contact with it. We're not aware of it, particularly when we're young, unless it touches us personally. So for the prince, this journey was like a young man from a wealthy suburb going into a world of poverty and suffering for the first time. Oh, stop.
Yes, sir.
Look over there. What's the trouble?
They're sick.
Sick.
The world's full of sick people. You've been lucky. You haven't had to look at them.
I've never been sick.
You're young yet. Chances are that you...
Yes?
Nothing. Nothing, sir.
Stop a moment. Up there. That woman, what's the matter with her?
There's nothing the matter. She's just old. Everyone gets old one day. I will. So will you. Oh, that's nothing for you to worry about now. You might do better than most. For a while.
Stop again. There. What's that?
A funeral. It's for the dead.
The dead.
Well, now, you see that flower there? Well, eventually it'll die. The truth of it is that we live our lives and then die the same way, sort of. I'll die, and if you don't mind my saying it, so will you. So, I pray it's a long way off. Well, then they take the remains and they try to preserve them.
Why?
Why? Well, shall we drive on now, sir? It's getting late, sir. We've been here some time now. If you'll excuse me for asking it, sir, what are you thinking about?
The prince resolved to find an answer. He drew away from the family he loved. He left the palace walls forever, which stood to blind and deafen and numb him to reality. He drew into a world of ordinary men, seeking a way to cope with human suffering. First, he sought out two of the most famous philosophers of his time. They had no real answers. So, for the next 6 years, he slept on thorns and starved himself religiously in hopes of getting an answer. Well, he found that to be useless. Finally, he seated himself in the shade of a tree, resolving to sit there in meditation until an answer came to the problem of birth and suffering and death. The gods sent no answer. Instead, demons came to tempt him from his purpose, to entice him from it, to terrify him from it. When suddenly his mind awakened to the fact that there really was no outside power that could tempt him. All existed in his own consciousness, like masks worn by the mind. All that we are is a result of our thoughts. If a man speaks or acts with evil thought, sorrow follows him. If a man speaks or acts with a pure thought, happiness follows him. Thought upon thought, action upon action, a man shapes himself and his destiny. The answer came. The prince stood up, now that rarest of human beings, a fully enlightened man, a Buddha. For the rest of his life, he wandered India, teaching a way of enlightenment, truth, and brotherhood. He was nearly 80 when he died. Among his last words to his closest followers were, "Work out your own salvation." But just what did the Buddha teach for 45 years that could be of interest to men today? He taught that life is change, impermanence. We know that stars, many times larger than our solar system, are being born in a white-hot heat. All other stars are exploding, cooling, dying. The earth seems firm under our feet, unchanging. But each moment our planet is changing and shaping and reshaping itself through eons. Seas swell over the land, rising and ebbing and ever changing. The Buddha taught that this impermanence, this dynamic process, is what we are. He taught that a man is the momentary sum of all of his past thoughts and actions. Yet man masquerades as immortal. His illusions breed in him more illusions, and until he finds himself desperately entangled in this process of cause and effect, like a spider caught in his own web. He taught that in the hard core of reality, there is no permanent I, no myself, no my life. Life is a process, not a possession. Yet we cling to our inflated egos from a center of the universe that each man is certain is himself. He taught that men should rely on nothing outside themselves. Yet he saw that men build temples and towers and offer sacrifices to a host of gods. But in his own words, he loathed, abhorred, and repudiated the practice of miracles. He preferred what he called the miracle of education, which taught men to reason. But just what did the Buddha say we can do about our condition? First, recognize squarely that life is full of suffering. Disease and death and decay are suffering. Not getting what you want is suffering. Secondly, the root of suffering is in ourselves. We're cravers. We cling to the impermanent. We clutch at illusions which stand between us and the naked reality of existence. Third, we must lift ourselves out of this ghetto of the mind so that we can come to grips with life, not with an idea of life, but with life itself. Fourth, a man can do this if he takes himself in hand. Step by step, he must walk a new way of life. He must strive for clear understanding, seeing through himself, his prejudices, his pretenses. He must practice the highest morality in his speech, his behavior, the way he earns his living, and he must strive to master this underworld of his own restless mind. The end of this path is nirvana, which is not an escape from life. Rather, it's a way of putting out the fires of self-centeredness right in the midst of everyday living, freeing us to realize a totally new consciousness, a consciousness in which ordinary emotion becomes compassion for all living things, and everyday thinking becomes the wisdom to perceive that life is one. Life is one, the no thing that is all things, so that everything has infinite value. Life is one, and you might say that all that a man can do is try to grab his soul and run away with it. The traditional tea ceremony, the tea ceremony of Japan, is a kind of celebration of life's oneness, in which many of the Buddhist teachings are felt. Yet this tea ceremony involves only a person making tea, serving it to a guest or several guests, and then washing up. The ritual is rigid. Each movement is dictated by a long tradition. At the same time, it's relaxed. It's perfectly natural. And when a guest comes to the tea ceremony, no matter how rich or poor he is, he leaves all those distinctions behind. Here, he and his host are just pure being, pure awareness amid the natural perfection of all things. Mind you, nothing in the ceremony symbolizes in any way life's oneness. Rather, it affirms it, celebrates it. Perhaps it's said best in a brief Japanese poem, a haiku. No one spoke, neither the host nor the guest, nor the white chrysanthemum. This is Maitreya, a Buddha of the future, an enlightened one yet to come. And who is Maitreya? You. You.